What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Elite Dangerous. When we left off in the last episode, like the previous episodes before that, we, made a little bit of progress here and there. So we are, and though it did occur to me to do something a little bit different for my calculating my distance this episode. I've been doing this thing where you try and calculate based on the center of the ring and stuff at max zoom and how long it takes. But it never really occurred to me. I can do about 1,000 light years per episode, essentially. I mean, I could do more if I was cutting more out and things like that, but we've already kind of gone over that a bunch, so. So at 1,000 light years, you could arguably kind of assess 1,000 per episode, give or take. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So like this is 3.1 thousand, so that's roughly about 2 to 3 episodes away, right? And it never occurred to me, I could do that with all of these. Like, I think this one's 13, and I think the center is 17, or something like that. Actually, let's just go off the center. Now, the interesting part is... Ooh. I lost the... There it is. The interesting part here is that you get the factor that it's going off of... How do I keep losing this? It's going off of where you currently are, not like... Sorry, I'm trying to line this up a little bit better so I stop losing it. But it goes off of where you currently are, not like where you're coming from or based on a route or anything like that. So in doing that, you kind of have to give it a little bit of leeway because you may not be heading in the same direction. For example, this is 17.9 right now, but it's basing that off of as the crows fly, like a straight line. So as we go over this way and then this way, it's going to take us longer. So that is one of those, let me know what you guys think if we've just taken too long and you don't even care about this station over here and would rather just go straight to Sagittarius A. That's kind of arguably understandable. I mean, 17 episodes is a long time of just jumping back and forth and me talking. So, I get it. But let me know, because some people may want to see the new station and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. So, I'll definitely take that into consideration. The one thing I need to do, though, on this route is find out how often I'm going to need to scoop. So far, we only have 2 spots. That's 3, but it's usually like every other. Okay, here. Okay, there's 1. So this isn't too bad. And we shouldn't have to worry about it for a minute. Goodness, this is a long route. Now let's see if we can... Okay, that... Nope. It does do a thing where it hasn't populated the route yet. There's 1. And then just as you go, you'll see them. So at first you're like, oh, I'll have to... Oh, wait, no, never mind. So at least on this one, we're good to go. So that's pretty much all we need to know. But it doesn't look like too bad of a route overall in terms of how we'll have to fuel scoop and things like that.
Cannot comply.
Oh, that's weird. It's odd that you can use your scanner, your discovery scanner. You can actually use that in Super Cruise mode without your hardpoints deploying. But when you're in like system type space, then it always seems to deploy your hardpoints whenever you try to use your scanner. So that's a little weird. Okay, sorry about that. I totally forgot to turn my phone off in terms of put it on silent. Totally forgot to do that. So that's why that last part cut off a little abruptly. But yeah. So yeah, I find it weird, like right now I can do my scanner and it will still let me do the frame shift drive thing But when you're in system mode, when you do that, it'll deploy the hard points and then it won't let you jump. So it's kind of weird how it doesn't really work both ways. It's kind of funny. Speaking of working both ways, though, I wanted to address a couple of things that I got in terms of comments from the last episode, just to clarify a couple of things.
Fuel scooping.
I don't know if I didn't explain it properly or not, but I think we're getting a little confused on why I chose not to do the beta at the moment. And everybody kept commenting on, like, well, whatever you do in beta stays there, and I get that part. The part I was bringing up, though, and why I ultimately decided not to do it was twofold. One, that very thing means any progress you make in beta does not apply to your main game. So, hypothetically, if I got all the way to Sagittarius A in beta, and then left the beta and came back, I would still be where I left off, which means none of that progress actually counts for anything and doesn't really do anything. So, that's one of the biggest reasons is, you know, because whatever happens in beta stays in beta is one of the big reasons I don't want to do it right now. The other is that it starts you further back, like from wherever the beta started. And I was a few weeks behind in getting on board the bandwagon to jump into the beta. So that effectively meant that basically my progress was not already where it was. So basically it was a twofold thing, that I would have had to start further back from where I already was, and then whatever progress I made wouldn't keep, it wouldn't count. So it was kind of one of those, like, what's the point? Not so much that I didn't I mean, I've done a couple of betas and actually done episodes while doing the betas, so I mean, I know that whatever, I mean, that's how I even got to try out the Imperial Cutter and things like that I can't actually afford, is because in the beta everything was cheaper so that you could experiment. But it's that very thing of the progress doesn't count that then it kind of deterred me from doing any exploration in beta, because then I was just going to come back to wherever I left off, and it just seemed like kind of we're already looking at 1,000 light years per episode, we're already looking at like 17 episodes or more to get to the center. So yeah, it was just kind of one of those, like, what's the point? And I have to be honest, I don't know. This would be more up to you guys, whether or not you're completely bored out of your mind with just exploration videos, whether, you know, whatever you'd want to do in terms of preference. But part of me is actually thinking of, like, I don't know, taking a hiatus off of Elite or something once I get to the center of the galaxy in order to come back. Is kind of what I'm thinking, unless there's been some big change. There's basically two factors that could keep me from doing that. There could be a big change in the gameplay to where they have some ability to where I can leave my ship and then, like, teleport back to the core worlds, or something that makes it easier to get back, even as easy as, like, you know, using the neutron stars or whatever. Again, like we talked in the last episode, I'm not really sure how beneficial that's going to be, in terms of how hard it's going to be to find a neutron star. You know, do you have to go way out of your way to get a little bit of a boost, kind of thing? And things of that nature. So, you know, I'm not really sure, but unless there's something super duper improving on making it faster for me to get back, or something to that effect, or just, you know, some route changes, and by the time I get done with all that, you know, there's more to see. I know that the Galnet News mentioned something about there's going to be a series of stations from the core worlds out to the Colonia Nebula, which is, I think, where we're headed for Jacques Station. So, you know, if they do, like, something like that and we want to visit all these different stations or something, that would give us something a little different to do. But ultimately, it comes down to me making sure that I scoop before I leave, because I'm not sure, but I think this is the one I was supposed to stop at. I think I've just picked up some extra fuel along the way. Let me double check. Okay, it doesn't really tell me because I didn't make a marker. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and scoop here. Now Now I have my shields off, so the heat should be minimal. So let's see what happens if I'm maxed out right now on, okay, we're up to 70. I'm maxed out on my fuel intake, so let's see if I can just sit on this. Because if that's the case, we're golden for our fuel. If that doesn't break like 80, I think we're fine. Now again, I'm not completely empty, so I don't know how long, or if I sat there, because it went up to 75. So I don't know if I sat there for a full scoop worth, if it would have actually overheated me or not.
Scoop disengaged. Frame shift drive charging.
Right, let me real quick jump into my map and see if I can gauge where we're gonna have to refuel at again. Okay, it looks good. I think. Nope. Yes. Okay. We're good. So yeah, if there's some change that they make, I'm totally down. If you guys want to see it and you're not bored, totally fine. It's one thing for me to play and make videos and talk and all that kind of stuff. It keeps it a little different for me. But I would think, just from a viewer point of view, I would think it would get monotonous watching just exploration. But that's kind of up to user preference. Some people might really enjoy it. It might be a better change of pace. Don't know. So let me know what you guys think about all that, as far as if you're okay with that and you're fine and it's like, no, just keep doing stuff until you get back. Now, I will say that coming back from the center, I may do things a bit faster in terms of like just beeline, not like go back to a station or anything, just like as the crow flies, what's the fastest way to get back kind of thing. I'm not really sure, but, and I may try and do more off camera, I'm not really sure, but like I said, I'm debating, it's up for debate essentially. I'm not decided or anything, but I'm contemplating whether or not once we get to the center and it's like, okay, we saw what we wanted to see, I'm contemplating kind of taking a break from them, or maybe here's my concern. I was gonna say, what I was gonna say before I cut myself off was maybe doing like CQC videos or something. I think that's what they call it, but basically the like deathmatch type stuff where you're just playing for fun. I've thought about doing that and then on this, you know, making videos on that while I'm exploring on my way back. But the problem with that is I barely have, that's part of why I don't cut out a lot of stuff. We've mentioned that before, is that I don't really particularly have a ton of excess time to devote to Elite. So I kind of sit down and record my episode and then I'm done. And then I don't really pick it back up until the next time I'm going to record another episode. So it's kind of one of those where I'm concerned that if I was doing CQC videos, I wouldn't be doing the off-camera exploration in order to get anywhere. That's my big concern with doing it that way. I think for me, personally, my two best options are either to continue making exploration videos while we get back to the core worlds, or basically act as though I'm doing that, but then not recording it, and so you're putting the same amount of time into getting back, kind of thing, but you're not having to, you know, and like I said, it's no skin off my back, right? Like, if I'm gonna have to do this anyway, and get back from the main star, or Sagittarius A, whatever, I don't know actually what it's considered. It could be a black hole, it could be a star, I'm not really sure what they deem, or what they dub the center of the galaxy. That's part of why I'm actually curious to go there, fun fact, is because I don't really know in reality what anyone has ever pegged the center of the galaxy, or if we even know. If we do, I've never heard their explanation on it, and if they don't, then that's just all the more reason I'm curious to see what the Frontier developers actually did it to look like.
Frameshift drive charging.
Kind of like, I'm super stoked whenever they decide to actually do landing stuff on main planets, not just moons and dead worlds, basically. Because I would really like to see their vision of what Earth will be like. That would be kind of a cool thing to check out. But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of one of those that once we get there, you know, I'm gonna have to come back anyway. As I said, unless they did some, you know, patch thing where or update while I was doing all of this, that now all of a sudden you can warp to another ship or something cool.
Fuel scooping.
Okay, so from here we're going to try and do the max, I think, and then we'll keep going and see if we overheat. So we're up to 62. There we go, we're tapped out. And to minimize it, I've always found it best to move yourself down a little bit until you basically start losing fuel, and then kind of pick it back up to the max, and that way you're not sitting super duper close. Though we are increasing our heat a lot faster than we were before. I may have to drop this.
Warning, temperature critical.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop that. Okay, so we can't do full. I can do 500 without issue.
Fuel scooping complete.
Alright, let's get out of the star ring. So I think it's 90%, or is it 100% now?
Fuel scoop disengaged.
I think it's 100% now when you start getting damaged.
Frameshift drive charging.
Let's see if I can do this fast enough. Actually, it really comes down to how quick the galaxy map loads. Okay, we're still good. So yeah, that's going to be something I'd like everyone's feedback on. We'll operate on the assumption that they don't change anything to where you can just warp to another ship or something like that. I don't think they will, but you know, you never know. So, but yeah, it would be a good thing for me to know in the back of my head, because like I said, I'm gonna have to do the grind work anyway. So if you guys are fine with just, yeah, it's like just keep babbling about random crap and, you know, jumping around, then that's fine. Like I said, I gotta do it anyway, so it's not really a big deal. I wouldn't want to keep putting videos out if it's like, oh look, it's another boring exploration video where we see the same things over and over again. But as I said previously, you know, that's a user preference thing. Some people might really be cool with it. I personally don't think I could just sit and watch videos like this all the time where you're just jumping from place to place unless something interesting was happening. But that's me. I usually I'm busy and stuff, and so I don't normally take time to watch videos unless they're interesting or there's something cool happening or it's funny or it teaches me something. You know, I don't usually just chill and watch YouTube as much as I used to anymore. I used to actually do that a lot, but ironically, when I started making YouTube videos, it changed my schedule around where I really didn't have time to just sit around and watch, you know, episode after episode of like 20-minute Let's Play videos and things like that. So, you know, there's that. But overall, I mean, I still have fun with Elite. I think it's just at this point I'm vested, but I'm kind of checked out almost, where it's like it's a bigger time-consuming undertaking than I anticipated it to be. And so I'm kind of wishing now there was a better fast travel way of doing it, kind of thing, because yeah, there's no good way to speed anything up. You're just kind of stuck, you know. I'm far enough out, I don't want to turn around, but at the same time it's like there's still so much in front of me that it's like admittedly though, it is a little bit more relaxing, I suppose, than like combat videos, because I basically don't have to think. I can just sit here and talk about random stuff and just, you know, you use your scanner and you jump and you check your map and you use your scanner and you jump and you check your map, you know. Now what would be really funny is if I actually said that and then forgot to scan this last place that I was just at, and I say that because I think I did. I'm not really sure. I think I forgot to scan it. It kind of becomes a habit, so I forget when I do it and when I don't. But yeah, so anyways, that's kind of one of those things I've been thinking about in my head, was kind of a thing of, as far as the, like, what are we doing kind of thing, and how's this gonna work and how long is it gonna take and all that kind of stuff. I really would like to do some kind of like time lapse or speed up, or, you know, cut this and just do a few jumps every, you know, it's like, hey, and today we traveled 15,000 light years, you know. But like I said, quite honestly, I've just got too much going on behind the scenes and stuff, and with other series and with other projects, and it's like I really just don't have as much time as I used to for this particular single game. I mean, I have time to do my recordings and things, but when you add all of them up together, it's like, you know, especially adding stuff like Osiris and things onto this, on top of it, it hasn't really been easy to juggle all of it, and then you've got other projects on the side that aren't YouTube related, and then of course you just have personal stuff where you just, you know, you have to take a break and go have fun and do things and, you know, come up for air. So between all of that, it's like I really don't have the entire day to just sit and do jumps and stuff. So I do think though, I honestly, it's one of those, I keep saying it, but I'm just gonna scoop here. This makes me a little nervous. I'm too close to E. Now what's weird about my fuel situation is if I get up to like 500 and then cut it off there, it stays pretty good. But if I go to 600, then it's like, and the thing overheats really quick. Now I didn't try 600, I did 627, which is max. So let's see what it does at 598. Let's see if it still heats everything up. It probably will, just slower. Because that's pretty close to maxed out. So I can't see it being that different in temperature, but you never know. It's science. But I started to say, I keep talking about, oh, I should just be doing jumps and stuff while watching Netflix or something. The problem is, I usually do that kind of stuff, like, right as I'm going to bed or something, to kind of wind down and end the day type of thing. So I'm not really at my computer. So whenever I'm doing that, I never think to do it. If I'm at my computer, I'm usually doing something, like recording or working on a project or something like that, or editing or whatever. So yeah, I rarely just think of, like, you know, whenever I sit down to watch a show or something, it's usually to relax or chill or whatever. So it's like when I'm doing that, then it's, you know, in the evening or late at night or something, and I'm not thinking of like, hey, let's actually do something while watching stuff. It's like, no, I just kind of want to chill. So, you know, it's one of those that arguably, sure, there are ways I could go about basically optimizing and getting more progress done on this whole route and all that kind of stuff. It's just something that I really haven't done, essentially. Now we had recently refueled, but I forgot to check my route, so let's see. All right, we're getting pretty lucky on our routes here. Nope, crud muffin.
3, 2,
engage. I don't think that did anything, but we're gonna have to take a pit stop and check our course. I mean, first of all, I know I can't jump that far, but I did select something else. Alright, let's double check. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna set this and we'll get a scan in while we're checking. Yeah, that was a boo-boo on my part. Okay, so it didn't mess anything up, and because I selected the star, it's not selected on what I picked anymore randomly. And our course... Yeah, we got pretty lucky so far, last few routes, on, with the whole... the end of the route when you run out of fuel typically is something I can scoop off of. I was concerned about that there for a little bit because we kept getting ones where it wasn't the case.
charging.
So it kind of was like, well, I hope that doesn't become a thing. But, and I do love how the star density is getting more and more dominant. That's pretty cool. It's such a gradual effect that it feels more natural than you'd expect. But I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, and I'm not sure, I think there's probably going to be some changes coming to my schedule soon. Not like, well, I mean, my personal schedule is always in flux, but I meant like my episode airing list and things like that. I think there may be some changes coming.
Frameshift drive charging.
I'm not sure what to do about Osiris, because I feel like until they add more content, I feel like I'm only a couple episodes out from kind of having seen and done all that there is at the moment. I really enjoyed the game. I like the game, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I'm not too sure about how much longer it's got in it until there's some kind of content patch which adds more stuff. So I would expect to see that kind of probably end, or rather go on hiatus for a couple of the next couple episodes.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
And The Witness is close. If I really want to try and do every single puzzle, I'm going to need more help from you guys to, like, actually tell me where some of these are, because I don't want to solve them, right? Like, I don't like the spoilers so much of, like, this is how you do it, but there's some things, like the environmental ones, there's some things I'm just going to walk right past and, you know, be wandering around, like, where is the rest of these puzzles? I can't find them all. You know, stuff like that. So when there's hints of, like, hey, you missed an environmental puzzle back there or something, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I don't really care for, like, oh, use this and go right, because I do like to see if I can figure them out on my own. But it's pretty close, though, because basically, if for those of you that may have missed or don't watch it or whatever, the last episode I basically completed this quote-unquote story mode, so to speak, but I haven't unlocked all the puzzles and I haven't finished everything, and there's also, like, at least one secret ending that I've not gotten, so I know there's still more to do, but the fact that I made it to the end means, you know, it's pretty close. It's pretty close to the actual, and whether it's, you know, you end on, hey, I got the secret ending, now I'm done, or whether it's, I finished the gauntlet, and now I did the secret ending, and now I'm done, or whether it ends up being ooh, we need to scoop next time, that was close. Or whether it ends up being you know, I found every puzzle ever of all time. That remains to be seen. I at least would like to complete the gauntlet and the secret ending. That's kind of my big two things. Originally, I set out to, like, 100% get all of the puzzles for all the entire game. But like I said, I just don't know how long that'll take in terms of finding them all. And I don't want to use a guide, because typically the guides end up telling you where and how to do things, not just where. So, you know, there's things like that, but there might be avenues for me to look into if there's a location guide, but not a solution guide, you know, stuff like that. I may look into something like that just for expediting purposes, so that we can kind of complete stuff and move on. But I'm pretty sure that it's close. It may not be finished yet. I mean, I've definitely got at least a few more episodes in it to complete the gauntlet and the secret ending and so on and so forth, but it's closing in on its end. And I have to admit, as much as it pains me, I'm not really sure how much longer I'll be doing No Man's Sky. Mainly just because we talked in the last episode, I don't know if it's because of all the negativity around it, or if it's just, you know, popularity of the game, or the way I do the game, whatever. But for whatever reason, it does seem to be not super duper high on my producing list in terms of views. I think my four mains have always been the Space Engineers, Inspiration, my normal Let's Plays of Space Engineers, Elite, and Subnautica. Those have been, like, my bread and butter in terms of what's going to pull in the views the most, kind of thing, or most reliably. Because quite frankly, if it wasn't for the viewership, I probably wouldn't have done Elite as long as I have, because it's a fun game, but it's very hard to make videos that don't come off redundant to me, personally. Like, as a content maker, they always seem like I'm kind of doing the same thing. Oh, look at that. We actually are going to reach our route. Sweet. Well, I guess I don't have to worry about it then. And so because of that, I mean, everybody else seems to like it. Obviously, the viewers are still there, and the views are still coming in. So, obviously, it's not, you know, too many people aren't bored with it, but it's one of those, as a creator, I tend to look at it as like, what am I doing this episode? And it's like, kind of like, reminds me of almost like the Pinky and the Brain. You know, what are we gonna do today, Brain? Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Try to get to the center of the galaxy. You know. So, yeah, if it wasn't for the viewership being there and the support being there, I probably would have, like, not done it or switched it up to something else a while ago, but, you know, but it surprised me because everybody was still watching it and commenting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, my exploration videos have not gotten quite as much viewership as, like, my combat videos and things, but at the same sense, though, when you think about it, it's one of those, even though it has dwindled a little bit because of the content, it's still higher than a lot of my other series, like Starbound and Witness and stuff like that. So, you know, there's that. But Witness is probably coming to a close within the next little bit. I can't say for sure because I don't know how long it'll take and what all I'm gonna try and do. I'm kind of reluctant or skeptical of saying I'm going to complete every puzzle, like I mentioned before, mainly just because I'm concerned of how long it'll take to find them all. So primarily I'm focused on the gauntlet and the secret ending for that game, and then once that happens I'll reassess and get viewer feedback and stuff on whether or not they'd want to see every single puzzle done. And Osiris is probably going to take a break for a while until there's like a content update type of thing, unless they surprise me and update it in between while I'm still exploring the last little bit. But there are a few other games that I'm interested in playing. One in particular is a surprising one to me, is the Dragon Quest Builders game that came out not too long ago, a couple days ago. I got it on Gamefly, and I haven't actually gotten to play it yet, but it looked really interesting, because one of the big critiques for Minecraft and stuff was how bad it looked. Like, the gameplay was awesome in terms of creating, and you can do whatever you want, but the graphics looked horrible type of thing. It's all just a bunch of boxes and squares and pixels. And so one of the things I thought was really cool about the Dragon Quest Builder thing was, I'm not a Dragon Quest person. I've never played them. I've seen them, I've heard about them, watched trailers and things, but I've never personally played them before, so I know nothing about anything related to the series, other than it's made by Akira Toriyama, which is the same guy that made Dragon Ball Z. I'm 95% sure on that. I hope I didn't get my information crossed. So if I did, my bad. But, so, you know, that was kind of cool. But it looks like a anime kind of cartoony Minecraft, but with an actual cool, like, cel-shaded-y kind of graphics. So it looked kind of cool that it had, like, a fun gameplay mechanic look, but then, you know, kind of like a Minecraft gameplay, but the look of something like, you know, a cartoon or something, and I think that added a bit more to the charm. So I thought it looked pretty cool. So that's something I'm interested in. I may do an episode or two on it, just to get a feel for if anyone's interested or anything. Honestly, though, without having ever played the game yet, I don't know what all I would do, how long it would last, etc., and so on. Especially being a Gamefly at the moment. Obviously, if for any of you that may not be familiar with Gamefly, you get the option to buy it if you like it, but there's so many other games coming out, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I am really, really thinking about doing a Skyrim Let's Play, mainly because of the remastered edition coming out. I'm really stoked about that, so I'm kind of thinking of doing I wasn't really into YouTube when Skyrim came out, and I always regretted that I didn't get to do a Let's Play, because Elder Scrolls is one of my favorite series of all time. So I was kind of like, man, I do all these videos now and stuff, but I never got to do a Skyrim one. So I'm a little disappointed on that, but then when they started talking about doing the remastered and all that, I was like, ooh, sweet, I might have a chance to do it over again. So I'm really thinking about that one. The other one I'm toying with, because I'm almost positive I'm going to buy it. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'm almost positive I'm going to buy it, is the Final Fantasy 15. And that one's another one of those, like, Skyrim would be fun to do, because I've played the game before. right? So I'm not as worried about like, ugh, I can't play it unless I'm doing an episode on it. You know, you're not having to worry so much about seeing the unseen and exploring the game because, you know, I'm hindered by my schedule for recording. I don't have to worry about that too much because I'm basically playing a game I've already played. So I kind of know what happens, so it's just more of the fun factor. Like, I'm having fun playing it, but I'm not really worried about, like, oh, I want my genuine reactions to things and stuff because I don't want to play it and then come back and be like, oh yeah, when I did it the first time, this scared me. Because it's already not the first time. So Skyrim I'm not too worried about doing a Let's Play on because I could do multiple characters and all that kind of stuff. Final Fantasy I'm concerned about because it's a big investment to do an RPG like that, much like a Skyrim. But that's one I haven't played, so I am concerned about not being able to just jump in and binge play it kind of thing. So there's that. And it looks like we have arrived at our destination, so let's get a fuel scoop going.
Fuel scooping.
And we should probably scan this since we're here. So yeah, those are some things that I totally open to feedback if you guys have any thoughts or ideas or anything like that. I am thinking, if I remember to work on it, I am thinking of probably doing some kind of poll. Let me know what you guys think. I'm not big on a lot of what's currently the best way to do some of that stuff, so if you know of, hey, this is a really easy way to do a custom poll, let me know. But I am thinking of, within probably the next month or two, maybe, some of these series will either have completed or just be done or whatever. So I'm kind of debating on, like, what things you'd like to either keep seeing or you're okay with, you know, like, are you okay with something like No Man's Sky going away, even though it's not really, like, done, you know, and stuff like that. And again, I always kind of have to look at, I basically choose my series and things on like two factors, and that's the fun factor and the view factor. That I mean, there are some things that I've continued to do just because the viewership is there. Elite, and quite honestly, I've never really vocalized this, but quite honestly, the Space Engineers Inspiration series has kind of become that way for me. I haven't had quite as much fun doing it as I used to, but it's just my #1 series. There's like no way I can really stop doing that one in good conscience. So, there's some things that I do for views that, you know, I've maintained that personally I've had to kind of like find ways to make it fun for me because I'm not as enjoying them as much as I used to, but there's just too much of a fan base for me to let them go. There's other things like No Man's Sky, which I'm kind of like not really, I'm kind of on the fence about. I'm having fun with it, but I'm not really worried about if everybody's done with it and don't really want to see more videos on it. I wouldn't really be heartbroken over it or anything. There's that. But so I would say just let me know what you guys like, don't like, want to see kept, don't care if they're gone, and then ideas for any future series. The ones that I'm debating about is stuff like Skyrim, Dragon Quest Builders, Final Fantasy 15, and then I've had a few on the back burner like Hardland, Ark, that I haven't really delved too much into doing a series on that I could. So there's things like that. So let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.